Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. Hope you're having a great day as we continue to celebrate so many wonderful people across the great state. And today is no exception. We're going to be moving over to the mayor of Waveland, Jay Trapani, here in just a second. But I wanted to share something. I had a listener sent me a note and said, you need to share more from your digital history book more often. It seemed like I was doing it daily for a period of time, and then I kind of got away from it. But what's interesting is I'm still focused on it and look at it every morning and do a lot of thinking about what I learned. And I commit that I'll do a better job at sharing some of what I learned along the way. But in the last couple of days, it was an observance in there about Steve Jobs passing away back in 2011. You think about Steve Jobs and what he did to build this Apple company is pretty amazing. The innovation that he brought to the table. And, I often say this, that, Hurricane Katrina hit in 2005. At that time, I was actually the publisher of the Sun Herald, but also leading strategic planning for Knight Ridder, the parent company for the Sun Herald. And in fact, literally the week that Katrina hit, I was about to fly to San Jose with my team to do the final report for that strategic planning effort. And Tony Ritter, the CEO of Knight Ridder, actually came down to Biloxi the day after Hurricane Katrina, and he was sitting in my office, and he said, you don't have to come to San Jose this week. And we kind of chuckled about that. But that was 2005. The plan that we put together, incidentally, was a plan that talked about where mobile technology was headed. We didn't have smartphones at the moment, but you could see that as we continue to see advancements in mobile technology, that it was literally going to change the way the newspaper business did our business. And so we were recommending in our strategic plan some massive changes in the way we did business. But at that time, one of the institutional shareholders for Knight Ridder uttered the now famous words that Knight Ridder needs to seek strategic alternatives. And what that means is either get acquired by somebody or merge with somebody. And that's when the McClatchy Company, the current owner of the Sun Herald, which is owned by a venture capital firm, incidentally, that was bought out of bankruptcy. That's when McClatchy Company, the smaller company, bought Knight Ridder. And the rest is kind of history. But what's interesting is, it's 2005 when all this was happening. McClatchy buys the company in 2006, and then Steve Jobs introduces the iPhone in 2007. It's hard to believe that all now these years later, looking back on that, how substantial introducing the iPhone ultimately really was to all of our lives, not just media companies. It changed everything, made us all reporters. And look what we do on our smartphones today. It's incredible. But Steve Jobs died in 2011. But one of the things he said along the way, I'll share this quote with you that was shared in my digital history book, is the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, don't settle. Because one thing is for sure, Steve Jobs loved what he did. He was super passionate about it. And I look back on my career, I loved what I did. And the moment that I didn't love what I did anymore, I decided to retire back in 2016. But now today, doing this show in retirement, I love what I do. I was talking to Dr. Mark Keenum about it last Thursday. And, we talked about it. And I really enjoy getting to know leaders and being able to address issues and all the things that we're able to do on this show. It's quite an honor, but I love it. I love what I do. So if you don't love what you do, maybe you should find something that you do love and never settle, like Steve Jobs says. I know someone who loves what he does. We've had the opportunity to chat with him more than once on this show, but the mayor of the city of Waveland, Jay Trapani, is someone who really loves what he's doing, and you'll be reminded of that as we have a conversation here from this point forward. But Jay, thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Good morning, Ricky. Yeah,
but
you hit the nail on the head. I do love coming to work every day. I look forward to it. So my wife says I need to take a day off. I said, no, I don't have time for that. So,
well, listen, he said, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. You had a great career, and you sort of symbolized just about every mayor in every city of coastal Mississippi. And that is, you all had great careers. And then you chose later in your lives to give back to your community. And I think it means more to you. It means more to you when you do it in that kind of a scenario. It certainly means a lot to you, doesn't it?
It does. And, I fell in love with Waveland when I was 4 years old. And I commuted back and forth to New Orleans. I was a weekender, but moved here full time in 2001. So I've been here 24 years, and I've always loved Waveland, and I've always thought I could help the city. So that was why I ran for mayor. People asked me if I would consider it. I started attending meetings and said, shoot, I got some skills I think that can help the city. So that's why I ran.
Hey, so when we speak of your career before you came to become mayor of the city, for people who have not heard us talk before, kind of give the short version of where you were in your career.
Well, I was in hospital equipment sales for the majority of my adult life. I thought and had some ideas about going to dental school years ago. And then I just decided, I took the dental school admissions test, that I didn't want to be in an office every day looking in somebody's mouth. So I went into equipment sales. So I stayed in healthcare and stayed all the way up to 2010. And in 2010, instead of calling on a nurse that took care of the patient, I was calling on insurance companies. And so healthcare had changed so much. I wasn't in love with that any longer. And so then I decided to get out and start doing some fundraising. I went to work for St. Stanislaus, raising money, and then went to University of New Orleans, raising money. And then I had the opportunity to come back to Waveland and run a nonprofit, Hope Haven. And I did that for a few years. So raising money is just another sales job, but that's a hard one, getting people to reach into their back pocket, pull out their wallet, and actually give money. But, it's only, people usually pick out about 3 nonprofit organizations that they'll give to or donate to. So a lot of them have that already fixed in their mind. So you have to go in and try to get them to drop one and add another one. So.
I have finished a book in the editing process now called Finding Hope, and I have actually a whole chapter in there about getting your hands dirty, volunteerism. What we learned about the importance of volunteers in this community. We knew it long before Katrina hit, but after Katrina, we certainly knew it in a big way. I quoted Melanie Allen, who is from Ocean Springs, who was involved in some of the recovery and rebuilding efforts, and she said that she learned during that time that that being a volunteer, caring about your community wasn't just about writing the check. It was about being willing to get into the trenches. And, we're fortunate in Mississippi, aren't we, Jay, that we have so many people who are willing to get in the trenches and give back to their community and help fill the gaps of need in our community. I think we knew that. I mean, of course, if you look at on the national level, Mississippi is one of the most giving states in the nation year after year after year. And we sort of knew that before Katrina, but after Katrina, it really it galvanized, and we got to see for a fact that was in our DNA. We're very fortunate that we have people who are willing to write the check, and also people who are willing to get in the trenches to build a better community. You see it every day, don't you?
We do. I think there's a fundraiser just about every weekend in Hancock County, and but the people in Hancock County turn it into a party and a social event, and so you get the volunteers that come out. If you go from event to event, you see the same people, working, and it's a large majority of the population. I guess we're fortunate in a way that we have some people who are retired. Hancock County is a retirement community, so they look for things to do. They look for ways to give back. They see how their lives have benefited from other people donating time, so now they want to give back. So we do get a lot of volunteers.
It's amazing that we have that in the heart and soul of our community. I think it's a wonderful part of our DNA. And one of the things that people say when they come here is they're shocked They see it for themselves. They come in from the outside and they have a perspective that they expect to see, and what they see is so different than what they expected. And through our just our actions, we're able to convert people to believers in what we stand for in Mississippi. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Hey, we've got less than a minute left. So what we'll do when we come back on the other side, there's a lot to talk about. The former mayor of the city of Waveland, Mike Smith, recently passed away. We'll chat about Mike, who's been on the show many times, and he loved the city of Waveland. We're going to talk about, man, you and I have not circled back since the Katrina anniversary happened. And I want to see how that observance went for you guys. We'll talk about cruising the coast and many other things involving the future of Waveland. But when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with the mayor of the city of Waveland, Jay Trapani. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. We're visiting with the mayor of the city of Waveland, Jay Trapani. And if there was a ground zero for Hurricane Katrina, it was Waveland. And we'll come back to the 20th anniversary here in just a second. But, you know, the mayors since Katrina, the mayors of Waveland have had their hands full. And as a citizen of Waveland, you've watched the evolution of the city and how hope has been sort of re-injected into the future of the city. And it's fun to watch now. And with things like cruising the coast, you know, coming to Waveland and the plans you have for the future and the important openings of businesses and all of that. Again, we're going to cover all that before it's over with. But one of those mayors was Mike Smith. You actually ran against him a couple of times and probably wouldn't have run again had the people not come to you and said, let's give it a shot again, Jay. You had the opportunity to visit with Mike Smith. He's been on the show several times. He certainly loved his city, didn't he?
Yes, Mike dedicated about 40 years of his life to the city of Waveland. And he was just full of knowledge about the city. And, you know, it's not a secret that I moved here from New Orleans 20 plus years ago, 24 years ago. So I learned a lot from talking to Mike about the history of Waveland, the citizens of Waveland. I didn't go to school here. He did. So he gave me a lot of insight on people, some good, some bad. But that's how he was. You know, that's how he was. So, but yeah, like I have a quote coming out in a local paper probably tomorrow. You know, we'll miss his presence, but his legacy will live on for a long time. And the things that he did for this community will last a long time.
Yeah, we'll miss him. I'm really feel for his family and the citizens who were supportive of Mike over his long career, his work as a first responder. I mean, just a terrific mayor. And we enjoyed visiting with him here on the show. He was always excited to come here because, like you, he just loved the city and wanted to do everything in his power to help the city be the best it possibly could be. It's pretty wild to think that the 20th anniversary has come and gone. And, you know, to some extent, you want to remind people about how well the rebuilding effort has gone. You don't want to remind them about how bad it can be because you don't want to scare anybody off, and you want developers to come there, and you want all of that. So it's kind of a catch-22, sadly, that there's, you know, it is an unfortunate reminder of what can happen. But it's also a reminder of why city leaders across coastal Mississippi should be focused on resilience and building back stronger and higher and all these things so that when we get hit another time, and we'll get hit again, we're able to bounce back faster. That's what resilience is all about. But you got a chance to think about all those things on the 20th anniversary, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. And we had a big ceremony at the Ground Zero Museum right here on Coleman Avenue. We have thousands of people that come through monthly to find out about the Hurricane Katrina. And it is a catch-22 because you don't want to scare anybody away. There are parts of the city that think that we shouldn't have the Ground Zero open any longer because we want people to move here. But, you know, most of the people that come to build a summer home or permanent residence in Waveland are from New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Hattiesburg. So those people know about Katrina. They know what happens when you live this close to the water. And they just love the lifestyle here, and they don't mind taking the risk to build a new home.
And the kind of home they're building, let's be honest, is not the kind of home that was there before. There are new building codes in place. There are new base flood elevation requirements that are in place. We don't take it lightly, do we, Mayor? That the rebuilding that is occurring will hopefully make us way more resilient next time. I'm confident that it will, aren't you?
Oh, definitely. In fact, we have a city meeting tonight, and we're going to adopt the 2024 International Building Code tonight, which even makes the requirements even more strong for when you build a new building. So the contractors know it's coming, and they'll have to just adjust.
Yeah, that's what, one of the things we did when we built our house here. We rode out the storm in the house next door. We live on the water in Biloxi Bay. Had 10-foot waves hitting our house during the storm. It was just a terrible experience. But when we built next door, we built even higher, well over 20 feet above sea level. And we also built to the gold standard. So, you know the gold standard where the roof is literally screwed to the foundation, and 150-mile-an-hour roofs and windows and all the things that go with that. Generator power. We want to be able to be self-sufficient after the next storm. Even that doesn't guarantee we'll survive, but what it tells you was worse than Katrina, and that's kind of scary to get your head around. But let's hope we don't have to experience that again. I tell you what, having a hurricane season or two recently that has been just calm, that's been awesome, hasn't it?
This is my third year in office, my third hurricane season, and we haven't had a storm yet, thank God. So, but going back to what you said, my house is 24 feet above sea level. I'm 14 feet off of the ground, and we made some precautions, but when those 10-foot waves come in, it's just it's nothing. You can't build strong enough to handle water like that. But
yeah, no doubt, it is true. Yeah, it is true that you think about the kind of development that's happening there. Everyone, especially developers, are weighing the risks. But all that's really good to see. And we'll come back to some of the new developments that are occurring here in just a second. Cruising the coast, though, man. I mean, what a great opportunity to show coastal Mississippi. Every single community, including Diamond Head now, is involved in it. And this opportunity for cruisers to come here, we hit another record this year, for them to be able to travel from city to city. A lot of cruising events don't actually cruise. Ours actually cruises. And what an opportunity it is to showcase a town like Waveland. Is that not an exciting moment for you guys or not?
It's unbelievable. We started, we hadn't had cruising since 2007. When I came in the office in 23, Woody Bailey has been a friend of mine for years. And Woody came to the office. We sat down and we talked and decided to bring it back to Waveland. Of course, I had to have the alderman vote on it, but it was just great. It's fantastic. People, wherever I go now, I run into people. It's the first time I've been to Waveland. I can't believe how beautiful it is down there. So cruising does bring them down here. I know with that we've sold some properties down here. People have moved here permanently, all because of cruising. I think we had over 3,000 cars this year, which is good. You also got another event going on in Biloxi at the same time. So it grows every year. By 8 o'clock in the morning, an event didn't start till 10. Every parking spot for 3 blocks on Coleman Avenue between Beach and railroad tracks was filled. So then we started putting them on vacant lots. And then we've opened up to the next street over from Coleman on each side, Terrace and St. Joseph. So it's just unbelievable. You can't believe. Woody Bailey was up here on a balcony at City Hall with Tom Sawyer, and they were just like, wow. They couldn't believe it either.
It is cool to see, man. It is cool. And, for someone who, one of the interesting things, and I spoke about this a lot during COVID, and that is as people, start to think about getting out again, and as they contemplated, a lot of people want to go to places in their car. I really preached for quite a while, actually, that people should do staycations, stay here. If you have an image in your mind about Waveland from after the storm, drive over and visit Bay St. Louis and Waveland and be able, see for yourself what renewal and resurgence looks like. And, they got to remember that Waveland, it may start on the beach, and that may be the image they have in their mind, but it goes across the railroad tracks all the way up to Highway 90 and beyond, it's important
Mhm.
to understand how all those pieces connect together in the important future of Waveland, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, definitely. The majority of damage was south of the railroad tracks, so that's where we're getting all the new houses being built. But Highway 90 had water also. It wasn't as devastating as the beachfront, but we're getting a lot of new businesses out there too. Anchored by the $16 million dual brand Marriott hotel that's hopefully going to open about this time next year.
I mean, is that not an exciting development, man? I mean, that what a major player to come in at a time when Stennis hopefully will continue to be on steroids and other aspects of the economy continue to take off. To have that hotel, it's going to be kind of an economic engine. It's in and of itself is going to create more opportunity. You're probably already seeing that, aren't you?
Oh, we are seeing it. There's other businesses that have already opened in that vicinity, and they're just holding on until the hotel. The hotel's going to have 110 rooms. So, there'll be 100 people plus looking for a place to eat, a place to shop. So it is a drive in the development in that area. And that's what we were hoping for. The western part of Waveland would develop like the east going towards Bay St. Louis and Pass Christian.
It's exciting. I've said this many times, and you and I even chatted about it, but this notion that Louisianians, of which you were part of that at one point, actually believed Waveland was part of Louisiana. It wasn't like it wasn't something they just said. They actually thought Waveland was part of Louisiana. And in some respects, it is an outgrowth. That's one of the reasons why after Katrina, I said, Louisiana, people would try to pit Mississippi against Louisiana. I'm glad I said it this way because it go on to be the publisher of the Times Picayune. But it is, for us to survive, New Orleans and Louisiana has to come back. We are absolutely integrated with one another's economies. And I would say that Waveland was kind of the ground zero for that relationship as well. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with the mayor of the city of Waveland. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. We're visiting with the mayor of the city of Waveland, Mayor Jay Trapani. And as you can see, it's a dynamic conversation. Every mayor of coastal Mississippi is super passionate about their city. And Waveland's had a long haul for recovery after Hurricane Katrina. And if you haven't been there before, I would really encourage you to go check it out for yourself. It's a nice drive to get there, and you can get to see some people who really love their city. I said this when you and I think met in our first show, that effort that the Stennis Institute was involved in about potentially bringing Bay St. Louis and Waveland together after Hurricane Katrina. They ended the study after 6 months because there was no way anything like that was going to happen. Because as we came to understand, man, buildings don't make a community, the people do. And the people of Waveland was going to do everything in their power to bring their beloved city back. And the same thing was true for Bay St. Louis for that matter. But Coleman Avenue, for people who've been there, people who were there, and people who should go there and check it out, Coleman Avenue, it's a really kind of central thing. I remember my conversations with Mike Smith about the possibility of elevating and bringing commerce back to the beach, about the development in homes, et cetera, that were happening on the beach. But Coleman Avenue is kind of a critical thoroughfare for now and into the future, isn't it?
It definitely is. At one time, prior to Katrina, we had 30 plus businesses on Coleman Avenue. And now we just opened a restaurant about 3 weeks ago, Ricky's Restaurant. And so that gives us 2 businesses on Coleman. But with the announcement of Ricky's coming back, all of a sudden for sale signs started going up on properties. We do have plans in the building department for a couple of new projects. I think it's the start of Coleman Avenue is going to take off.
Yeah, so you have to think about a move like Ricky's, for example. Any move like that where someone, listen, Haley Barbour used to say after Hurricane Katrina, said this all the time, that the government's going to help people get back on their knees, but it's private investment that's going to help us get back on our feet. So what the city like Waveland had to do is put the building codes in place, get the zoning right, do all the things you needed to do. But at the end of the day, it was going to be really dependent upon private investment. Tell me about Ricky's, incidentally. You got someone's placed their bet, and hopefully that's the beginning of a dominoes falling. And that's what you hope, isn't it?
Well, Ricky's was on Coleman prior to Katrina and had a great restaurant going. Chef Ricky Peters and Bill Boyd had that restaurant. Bill Boyd has since retired, still lives in Waveland. And so Ricky has hooked up with another group to bring Ricky's back to Coleman. And people have been waiting for it for 20 years. It's right across the street from City Hall. It was real nice last week to say, I'm walking across the street for lunch instead of having to get in my city car and drive somewhere. But people are happy. It's crowded. They're open from 11 to 9 Wednesday through Sunday, and it's bringing people back. And Coleman Avenue is a beautiful street. It's a wide street with beautiful street lights. It's just a great atmosphere to come down and open a business. And we got a project in the works that may help more businesses to come. We're working with a local engineering company. We've put in for some funding, some grants to build kind of like a breakwater on the beach. As you know, we got the sand berms now, but this is going to be a lot sturdier. It'll help break the waves, which we're trying to reclassify the flood maps on Coleman. The beginning of Coleman is very low. It's a velocity zone. And if we can change that flood zone for that area to an AE from a V, then that'll allow businesses to come in and they'll have more things they can do at the first floor. Velocity zones.
What's interesting, I remember the Corps of Engineers. I was, as you know, may remember, I was heavily involved in the recovery effort. And at one point, there was a lot of consideration about some type of breakwater. And they used, I'm trying to remember, Galveston, the city of Galveston as an example of ways that you might protect coast of Mississippi. It didn't last long, to be honest with you, because for whatever reason, people couldn't get their head around that. But it is a very feasible approach to at least stop the destruction that could be caused by waves. And what's the likelihood that you'll be able to get something like that done?
Oh, we've done all the applications for funding, and we just got to sit back and wait and see now. And we're not doing it on the whole. Waveland has 7 miles of beaches. We're just doing it in a 2-block area with 1 block on each side of Coleman. Like I said, it's going to look like a regular sand berm, but it's actually going to be sheet metal. Driven into the sand and covered with sand and sea oats and everything, but it'll help to break those destructive waves.
Yeah, like you pointed out. I mean, Highway 9 in areas where you just go underwater, it's not good, but at least you're not gutting buildings and taking buildings down.
Right.
The waves are what causes the extreme destruction. And good luck in kind of pulling that together. But even with Ricky's, we'll focus on this for just a little bit longer. You said that Ricky's has gotten with a group, but it is still, it's a pretty major investment. And so they've done the calculus on this, and they believe it's a good investment. And hopefully others will as well, because it's not cheap. I mean, just talking about opening a restaurant, it's not cheap to do this. Right, and it's a substantial investment that they expect to get a payback from. And what a wonderful case study for the city as you go forward. They're going to do well there. I predict they're going to. You said they were already doing well, but the long haul on it's going to be terrific, isn't it?
Yes. I think there's 2 lots right next door. I heard one sold this week, so I mean it's just going to snowball. And I really appreciate Ricky and Tom Sawyer and Scott Sutherland making that investment to come back to Coleman Avenue. It's going to jumpstart Coleman.
So look, you have so many cases like this across the coast. Many come to mind, but Moss Point is beginning to see real potential. So a couple of new restaurants have been added down there on the river. You watch what's happening in Pascagoula. They've created a historic district, and the amount of private investment pouring into downtown Pascagoula right now is unbelievable. Mixed use and more restaurants and just tremendous investment. Even in places like Biloxi, for example, as soon as they started to there's a point where they started to see slow, steady investment, and now I don't think you can find any land available downtown. I mean, it's happened. It took time, but once you got to that moment of critical mass, then the private investment started to kind of pour into there. You're seeing that in downtown Gulfport. Tim Pierce has a terrific dream for how Long Beach ought to approach this going forward. I really support him. And what I like about Tim, and I know you probably had the opportunity to visit with him, but he was head of strategic planning for NASA at Stennis after, spent a 40-year career there. So he has a sharp mind and ability to think about the long haul, and how to create the steps on a roadmap to help you get there. And I look forward to watching Tim. Tim and I actually went to Southern Miss together, so I've known him for a bunch of years, and I think he's going to do a great job. I could literally take each city and take you right through it. But in Waveland, the same thing is going to happen. Jay, I know you see that, don't you?
Well, I've had many conversations with the mayor of Pascagoula, Jay Willis, because I sit back and admire how well they're doing over there. The difference is between a lot of those cities and Waveland is that we don't have buildings. We don't have everything south of the railroad tracks was destroyed. So it's a big investment. I mean, Ricky's went into an existing building, but it's a big investment when somebody wants to come to Coleman Avenue, because not only do they have to have the funds to open a business, they have to have the money to build a building. Somebody approached me, a contractor, a developer, about why didn't the city build the buildings and then lease them out? Well, we're not in that type of business, and it would take more money than we could imagine to do this for the city to build these buildings. But I did talk to the other mayors about their development. I have not met Tim Pierce yet. I've heard a lot about him. But we all get along so well on the coast, all the mayors, and we got maybe 5 new ones now out of the 12, and we need to work them more into the group. But we all share ideas. We help each other any way we can. I'm only 3 years into this, so I'll have no problem picking up the phone and calling any of them, and getting
and you know
help.
what, I know for a fact that what you say is true. I think I've had everyone on the show. I have a couple of new mayors that I'm waiting to get on the show. I think we've actually gotten them scheduled, for a matter of fact. But when I talk to them, in the old days, there was a lot of competition, for example, between Gulfport and Biloxi, and that sort of emanated out from there. We were, and Roland Weeks, the former publisher of the Sun Herald, who recently passed away, God rest his soul, and my mentor, often said to me that Jackson never really had to pay much attention to the coast because we're so busy fighting amongst ourselves. Well, that's not the case anymore. I think we can do better on the regional level from an economic development point of view, but in terms of the cities working together, I don't think it's ever been better. And you say that about Jay Willis. I can think about Bobby Cox or Mayor Knight, or Fofo Gillich, who's been there for a while. Completely open with sharing their best practices and how they go about it. It's a lot to learn there. We'll be back with the mayor of Waveland after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. We're visiting with the mayor of the city of Waveland, Jay Trapani. And I always enjoy sitting with Jay and talking to him. I enjoy talking to all the mayors, as you heard before we went to break. They're also passionate about what they're doing. They all had success in their lives and decided to come back and give back to the city they loved. And it really changes your perspective on things. Someone told me once, Jay, when an elected official sees getting elected as a promotion in life, look out. I think that's a great way to say it, because, it is about giving back. But man, when you get elected to a position like this, you got to be all in. And it is truly a labor of love, isn't it?
It has to be. Nobody, if you didn't love it, would put yourselves to this kind of torture some days, but I do love it. Like Mayor Mike Smith, we mentioned him earlier. He used to say he had 7,000 bosses, and that's you got to remember that all the time, Whatever you believe is best for the city is not what the people think is best for the city, and you're here to serve them. So you have to keep your ears open.
Yeah, listen, former Mayor Gulfport, Billy Hughes, and I had many conversations about the evolution, because he had been in public life for so long, been a leader in the Senate and been mayor for multiple terms. And we talked about how difficult it is to be an elected official, no matter what position you're in the social media world, because people can say anything, and the misinformation is really tough. And you just have to know that in your heart, your passions are for what's best for the city. And you have to have a bit of tough skin. Like, for example, the Garfield-Ladner Pier. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, the Garfield-Ladner Pier was destroyed in Hurricane Zeta. And the previous administration started the ball rolling to have it repaired, but there was some hiccups. And so when I came in office, we had to pretty much start from scratch. And so we put it out for a bid through an RFQ. We selected an engineering firm. We put it out for bid, and we received two bids, 7.9 and 5.2. Well, FEMA had allocated 4.3. So we were $1.6 million short. So we had to appeal to FEMA to get the additional money. When we made the appeal, they cut us $2 million. They took out the mitigation for the roadway and the pagodas leading to the pier. So then we had to go back to the drawing board. So it's been, all of that happened in October of 23. So here we are 2 years later. We've redone the scope of work. It's out for bid right now. It's being advertised in newspapers. This is the second week. And the bid open will be, it's either going to be the 13th or the 19th. It was publicized originally as the 13th, but we don't meet until the 19th. So we're doing an amendment to change it. But it's exciting. We're just asking FEMA now to pay for the pier. Just pay actual costs of the pier. And we've gotten a lot of help from Congressman Ezel's office. It's a beautiful area of Waveland. We have a parking bay, we have lighted volleyball courts, we have a fishing pier, we have the lighthouse, we have the Veterans Memorial. It's just a beautiful section of beach. And people come from New Orleans just to spend a day and park at the lighthouse. And we need the pier back. And I know Congressman Ezel's office sees the value. Senator Wicker's office sees the value. And now we got the scope of work the way that FEMA wants it. We're going to resubmit it, and hopefully we just move forward.
And you probably know this. It sounds like you're where you need to be, but the former governor of Mississippi, Phil Bryant, actually sits on the committee to determine the future of FEMA and how that emergency fund and et cetera is going to be used in the future. So I don't know if you have a relationship with him, but if you need him, he probably could tap into it as well. But I think that Congressman Ezel and Wicker, if you've got them on your team, you're doing pretty good. I think they know the lay of the land, how to operate their way through that. They've done it many, many, many times over a lot of years. Certainly their staffs have, for sure. But it will kind of complete that part. I mean, there's several piers that were destroyed by Hurricane Zeta that still haven't been fixed yet across coastal Mississippi. It's such a long, drawn-out process, isn't it?
It surely is. And, Congressman Ezel talked to the director of FEMA before. We have a new director of FEMA. I just found that out last week talking to Congressman Ezel, and we have a new Region 4 director. So hopefully these new people were brought in by President Trump, and hopefully they'll get things moving the way they need. But there's 19 projects, I think, from Hurricane Katrina that still haven't been closed out 20 years ago. It just doesn't make any sense,
Yeah, I know that Biloxi's still, working their way through that because the infrastructure, and what was happening below the streets is still underway. In fact, Mayor Fofo Gillich mentioned on my show at one point that is literally like doing an archaeological dig, going in there, replacing all of that. You probably know that well, being in Waveland as well. But yeah, it's a long process. If you would have told me back when Katrina hit that 20 years later, we'd still be talking about Katrina projects around infrastructure, I would say there's no way that can be. I mean, certainly we'll have it all done in a couple of years, but it does not work that way.
That's
Mayor,
very hard
it's
to
been a
believe.
pleasure it's been a pleasure to spend time with you. I hope that we get to spend more time together. We should make it a rule that at least every couple of months we come back and talk about your fine city.
Ricky, I appreciate you having me on. Anytime I have the opportunity to speak to you, I look forward to it. So we can get the word out to our Waveland. So,
you bet. It's been a pleasure. Have a great day. This has been the mayor of the city of Waveland, Jay Trapani, and we will see you tomorrow.